probably hard to think of what in the world is he talking about when it comes to the shotgun, but you're going to figure it out as we go along. It's not that complicated. But one of the things this morning I want to do is I want to look at coming in first versus being first. And we have this built-in desire in us to be first in life in everything. You know, it starts off at a very early age. When you see kids and as they're babies and toddlers and they begin to learn to talk and express any kind of vocal, at all, they tell you they want to be first. They want to do it first. They want to get to eat first. They want to open up the presents first. They want to try it first. And so when life starts, we just have this desire in us to be first in everything. They want to win as they grow up to toddlers. They want to win at every game they play. And this can be difficult. Like we have Casey and Carter, our grandchildren. We've had them since forever. They're 5 now, so the last 5 years. They've been a part of our lives all the time. And we always have them together. And when you play a game, they both like to win. Neither one likes to lose. But when you play a game, you have a winner, thus you also have a loser. Let me just tell you, they get so excited to win, but they get more so depressed and angry, to lose. And so it makes it difficult. They don't mind showing their feelings about how they are. Now, as they've gotten older, they've gotten easier to deal with. They still don't like to lose, but it's not quite such a bitter defeat to them, and we're able to work around it. So in the games, we got that issue. But when it comes times of talent, it's amazing the talent that they either have or they think they have, and they would like to show you. And when it comes to talent, and there's not a clear-cut winner. Like if Casey comes up and barks like a dog, and Carter barks like a dog, and they want to know which one did it the best. Big Paw, which one was the best? Well, you did such a good tone, and your howling was great. Y'all both are champions. And so right now they're okay. They don't mind. They're not demanding that there be a loser. So right now it's kind of easy. But in life, it's just that way that we like to be first. We like to be first. We like to have the best of everything. We don't like to be a loser. Once that kids get a little bit older, their desire, I think, gets a little bit even stronger at being first. When you're on the playground and you're picking teams, you want to be picked first. You learn very early that first is the best and last is the worst. And you don't want to be last. You really want to be middle. You want to be one of the first ones picked. It's just the way that it goes. And so you want to be first. Whenever the teacher will say, let's line up, man, there's a scramble to get to the front of the line. Even if they're going to something they wouldn't even want to be the first for, it doesn't matter. There's just this desire inside that they want to be the first one there. And it just continues to go. Now, it's a little different with car seats and things now, but as they get a little bit older, I don't know if it's just inbred into them somehow that they have this word and this way in their mind. But when they get a little bit older and you say, mom says, hey, we're going to the store, and as you begin to walk toward the door, here's where the sermon part comes in. You hear them declare, shotgun. Shotgun. They're saying, me first, I want the front seat, I get the primo seat. Shotgun, it's all about me, I get it. You go to the store, you do all your checking out and everything, credit, debit, whatever, you're bagging up your groceries, you're not even thinking about it, but here it is. One of the kids remembers in time, shotgun. The other kids feel so defeated, because the rule is if you say it first, you get it. And so you're just so defeated, but it's that way everywhere that you want to go with those kids. They're just that way. They're always yelling out shotgun. When they get into high school, it's a little bit more mature. It's actually just a louder shotgun is all it is. You're going to church, shotgun. Going on vacation, shotgun. Of course, the mom usually will overrule that, say, no, you're in the back seat, but good try there. And so it just happens. And then when they get older and they get into college, and it's just a bunch of college guys hanging around, they're going to go out and get pizza. And they're going to go in one of their friends' cars. Guess what's happening? Shotgun. They're yelling. Somebody wants that front seat, and it just this desire to be first and to have the best seat and the best place, and it's just in us. And you can't help it, and it becomes just our nature. And even a bride and groom, and they're throwing the rice as they're going out, you can hear the groom shucking, before he realizes they're getting in a limo and it doesn't apply, and he gets in the back with them. But it's just who we are. It's a desire that we have, and it doesn't go away when we become humans, as we get adult humans. We're already humans as kids. Don't take that wrong. It doesn't go away. Even adults want to be first. They still want to be picked first. They still want to be acknowledged. They still want to be patted on the back. They want to sit in the place of honor. They want to be treated special. That's the reason why that airlines can up the price of first class, because you want to sit in first. Oh, I hope I get bumped up and upgraded to first class, because I don't want to pay the $1,000 extra for that 1-hour flight to be in first class. But because of that, these people's desire for that first class works. Credit card companies have figured it out, man. They want our cards if we make them a platinum member. I got the black gold. It's something about that. Do you have the American Express? I have the Plum American Express. You want people to know that with the credit card companies. That's why restaurants and sporting events and things, they got VIP status. You want to be that VIP status at your events. The world recognizes the importance of being first. And even in the days of the New Testament, it was something Jesus dealt with his disciples, and this mentality among them. If we look at Luke chapter 9, beginning in verse 33, it says, they came to Capernaum. When he was in the house, he asked them, what were you arguing about on the road? But they kept quiet, because on the way they had argued about who was the greatest. And sitting down, Jesus called the 12 and said, anyone who wants to be first must be very last and the servant of all. So Jesus and his disciples were traveling. They're on the road. And while they're on the road, there is a discussion among the disciples. And it's not a discussion, it's an argument. There's a battle going about who was the greatest. They had this desire to still be first. It's still in them, even as a disciple. Now, when they were asked about it, it said that they kept quiet because they didn't want to tell Jesus what it was that they were really arguing over. But Jesus knew what it was. They got settled in the house. He got seated. He called all around them. And he begins to listen. Any one of you wants to be first has got to be the very last. You've got to be a servant of all. And you would think that with that instructions and that teaching, that would have ended it. They'd have got it. Okay, we've just got to serve people. We don't want to be first. No more yelling shotgun anymore when we're getting on the camel. And I don't know what that means if you're front or back, but you can't do that anymore. And so you think that'd be the end. But the very next chapter, we see where there's two disciples who come up to Jesus, and they ask Jesus, man, listen, we kind of like to be first. We're wanting to kind of yell shotgun, and I'd like to sit on the left and him on the right of you in glory, okay? Shotgun. Well, Jesus had to deal with that, and in his dealing with that, the other 10 disciples found out what the other two were asking about. So look at Mark chapter 10, verse 41. It says, when the 10 heard about this, they became indignant with James and John. Jesus called them together. He just said, look, come on, let's have another meeting here, guys. You know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. He told them that whoever wanted to be first needed to be a slave to every one of them. See, Jesus didn't come to be served. He came to serve. He came that his life would be a ransom for the world. And he tried to get them to understand that it's not about them anymore. It's about others. And that's where I want us to get today, is understanding, and churches have it kind of wrong, I think, and Christians do, and there's these hierarchies and stuff we'll talk about. But I want you to understand that when you give your life over to the Lord, it's no longer to be about you. It's about to be other. They weren't called to be rulers over everyone. They were called to be servants to everyone. They were called to take. He's saying essentially, listen, if you're going to come follow me, the days of being first is over. That their desire cannot be to be in front of the line. That there's no more calling shotgun. Instead, their attention needs to be on lifting others up, promoting others, serving others. Not thinking that they're the best or that they're special because they get to walk and talk and serve with Jesus, but instead to see themselves as slaves looking to serve the needs of others. And this is what our mentality needs to be today in our church as well. You know, in our church, we see, I don't have it, we'll take this one. In churches, we see people all the time that you got your reserves. You know what, if you look around, she sits there, sat there. That's exactly where y'all sat every week. You know, we have this mentality of church. So people come into church and they put their stuff down on their seat. Essentially, they're saying, shotgun. That's mine. You know, and that's where we are. We're looking, this is where I want, this is my best seat. And so it's our mentality. They quickly grab a hold. Now, I'm not saying this is always the case in our church, but in a lot of churches, you see where people want to be acknowledged for every good thing they do. You see where there's this status about things. You see people in churches that will only eat out with people and interact with them socially if they're on the same class level, you know, as they are. They're not there to serve, but they want to be served. And we could get into a lot of different areas that's wrong in churches today, and that's not my point. What I want to keep us on an individual basis, that you and me and all of us, that we can begin to look at where our life needs to be and how we can live a life that pleases God and is desire to help others, to understand that we're not to think of ourselves as anything special, that we don't deserve special privileges, that our hearts need to be on serving others, that we need to be looking within the church and outside the church of making a difference. And let me tell you something. It takes real effort to crucify our flesh and to crucify our pride. But when we go through life with this humble attitude, it changes. Listen to me. If Christians and churches could go through this humble attitude, looking that I want to bless others, I want to serve others, I want to be passionate for others, I want to care about other people, it would change how we react to things, and it would change how we respond to things. We'll find that we're not hurting people's feelings near as much, and we're also not having our feelings hurt quite as easily. We'll not feel like we're so much more spiritual, and better than others, nor will others feel less around us because of our humility, because of our attitude in that. We won't look at those who are less fortunate any differently than we look at those whose life is solid. It's a difference. We're not going to look at those who are immature Christians and struggling in their faith any differently than those who are just pillars in the church. It's not that way, because we're family. We're all looking to live a victorious life, and we're all living to live a life that shows that we're called to serve. It's about pulling people up that are in their low places in life. And even better than that, it's a way for us to get dirty with them and to get their back and to hold them up and to lift them up and to raise them to a higher place and help them get on top. And that's why I think, rather than worrying about crying shotgun in our lives, we need to focus on getting others to a place of comfort, a place of peace. Because if we could focus on why someone said something or did something, rather than on what they said or did, if we could, to begin to be more concerned, if I could be more concerned with what's bothering LaCosta than being concerned that LaCosta's bothering me. There's a difference here. If I could be more concerned with why Becky said something sharp to me, rather than focusing on the fact, well, she said something sharp to me. If I could take me out of that picture and I could begin to look at, why did she respond that way to me? Why did she look at me that way? If I look, and not at what did I do wrong, people, what did I do, because then they get all defensive. I didn't even do anything to deserve that. I yelled shotgun, No, it's not that. You find out, though, that when someone's ugly or someone's hurtful or someone's forgetful, someone didn't acknowledge something about your life, rather than you worrying about why they did or said what they said, or what they did, you wonder why. And you begin to go up and you just talk to them about why. Not why did you say that to me. You begin to discuss with them, how's your day going? How's your week going? What's going on with you? Don't say, well, I noticed in your response you seem a little edgy. I mean, it doesn't work. That doesn't make people feel any better. But the goal is, rather than looking at someone's dirty feet, be willing to get on your hands and knees and wash them. I know that analogy doesn't work in today's society the way we don't do like they did in the days of Jesus, but the mentality of it, the picture of it still works. Instead of just seeing the problem in people's lives, beginning to look to see how you can help them with the problem. And if you're more concerned with helping someone who was ugly to you than the fact that they were ugly to you, it'll make the church, it'll make their life, it'll make your life love it. Because when you get your eyes off of yourself, you're not hurt anymore. When someone's done something, you're not hurt because you're looking at them and you realize they had a bad day. It could be that on the way into church, Will did something just very unthoughtful and said something just very unthoughtful and uncaring to LaCosta, so that when she came in, she's just focusing on what Will said to her, and why in the world would he be such a jerk? And then when you said something to her, she's not really being ugly to you or being short with you. Her mind's just somewhere else. And you don't just get all aggravated about it. You just love them. Find out. And you're not hurt anymore. She's encouraged. It just makes a difference. And then together y'all can go and cast the demon out of Will. I'm saying it makes a difference. Listen, because in churches we see people all the time that get so offended, get so hurt, and they need to be focusing on the people and not on themselves. And so we got to take our eyes off of ourselves and not be looking to get more. We need to begin to understand that being enough, that being enough for others is enough in our life. That not focusing on what I can get, but focusing on what I can give. And if you feel like you've made good choices in your life, if you feel like your life has turned out well and that you're strong and stable, and things are going, that should be enough to make you strong enough to handle somebody else's weakness. Meaning that you're going to cover their mistakes. You're going to cover their wrongs. You're going to get down and you're going to reach people where they are in need. It means being humble enough to carry the burden of your pride, not to let it rise up, not to be looking for the best seat, and you understand what I'm saying, best seat. I'm not just talking about here. I'm talking about just the best things. You can watch sometimes when you do a potluck or whatever, that some people just want to go to the first of the line because they want to make sure they get all they want, and they want to make sure they get the best thing that's there, and if they wait till the end, they may not get it. And somebody else might have got something better than they got because they waited at the end. I would rather see us be a church that I have to argue with y'all to get y'all in line. No, let them go. No, let them go. It's that mentality of always wanting the best. We want to take time expending our efforts to be better to others, to love one another, to serve rather than being served. Paul in Philippians 2 puts it this way here. He says, my dear friends, beginning in verse 12, my dear friends, you always obeyed what you were taught, just as you obeyed when I was with you. It is even more important for you to obey now that I'm not there. So you must continue to live in a way, I love this sentence right here. So you must continue to live in a way that gives meaning to your salvation. Do this with fear and respect for the God. Now in the King James that says to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Verse 13. Yes, it is God who is working in you. He helps you want to do what pleases Him. And He gives you the power to do it. Do everything, may be hard on you, But do everything without complaining and arguing. Do everything without complaining and arguing, so that you'll be blameless and pure, children of God without any fault. You can say, I'm just human, but listen, our goal is to strive to be blameless and pure and children of God without any fault. But you are living with evil people all around you who have lost their sense of what is right. And among those people you shine like a light in a dark world, and you offer them the teaching that gives life. So I can be proud of you when Christ comes again. You will show that my work was not wasted, that I ran the race and won. Man, we're to live our lives in such a way that it shows what it means to be saved. That it shows the difference in the world. That we are to shine in this darkness that's all around us. And it is so easy in this world that we live in, when we do godly things, when we reach out in love, when we put God and other people first, when you take time to hear people. And I want you to note this. When you take time to hear people, yeah, but you don't understand, they just want to talk about themselves. Well, how about if you be that one person that wants to listen? You want to hear, everybody likes to talk about this. So that's the secret of sales, is when you're selling stuff and you're trying to get, man, what do you talk about? Talk about them. Get them to talk about themselves. People want to be first. They want to yell shotgun. They want to talk about themselves. If you let them talk about it. And that's the way it needs to be in church. We need to listen to people. We need to take the time to hear people. Even if it sounds like they're just talking about themselves. Because from that, we're going to find out what's going on in their life. We're going to take this time to see beyond what we see. There's a reason for every action. There's a reason for everything that's going on. And we got to see more than just what's going on. So we need to commit to serve others. We need to commit to be there for others. We need to commit to pray with others. We got to quit yelling shotgun and wanting the best, and we got to start putting people first. And you will not regret it when you get to heaven. It's all about that moment. And I'm telling you, if we can get this, if we can begin to put and to think and consider people first, and it's going to take you take a married couple, and it just be the only married couple sitting there, so that's why I keep calling on them. But
your parents are here.
All this time I was wondering, I thought that was Kinsey, but I wasn't paying attention. But when you're a married couple, you have to think of the other person equally or more than yourself. Now, I don't want to do that. Well, if they're thinking of you equally or more than themselves, it works out, it balances out, and it's good. And as Christians, we need to be that same way. We need to be, that's why, listen, when you miss church, and if I send you a text message or a call, I'm not trying to check up on you to see why you're missing, what's going on with you, you know, that you're backslidden. I want you to know that, listen, are you homesick? Did you get bad news? Is there something wrong in your life? Is there an enemy attacking you by any reason? I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know that you're missed. I want you to know that you're cared for. Now, the enemy, I look at him trying to get in your life. No. Be grateful that there's people that care about you that want to be in your life. That's a good thing. Now, with that said, there's a degree that you go in with that. And we're not going to get, that's another whole lesson altogether. But I feel like with our church, and not just our church, but the church in general, I think it's something we need to begin to work on. We need to begin to look to humble ourselves. We need to begin to look. People all the time say, well, you know, I was just tired, I didn't want to go to church. And the mentality is this. If you're not going to church because you don't think you need it, you're not going to church because you're okay, you have a very selfish mentality. Number one, you need to be going to worship God because He wants to be worshiped, so you're thinking about Him. Number two, you need to realize that there may be somebody in the church that day that needs you there. They need your encouragement. They need your kind words. They need the handshake. They need the hug. And God's trying to position you there for them, and the enemy's trying to keep you away because he knows what they need. And it's not, so don't be selfish about things. It's just, listen, people need God. And when you get this understanding, especially for our Illuminate team, it makes it easier to be a witness when you begin to make it about others and about God, and you kind of take yourself. I had a customer that I talked to this week, and pretty wealthy guy, a leader. He's been in government, you know, in holding a position as mayor and different things, and got offended at church that years ago, pastor that called him out the wrong way on things, and he just thought, I don't need this, and so he just quit going. But I began to talk to him about God, about heaven, about hell, about loving. Yes, he loves God. He wants to go to heaven. He prays every day. And I use this mentality. Now, he told me about a church that he has went to that he kind of liked, but he doesn't go. But from that, I was able to talk to him about whether the church may need him, and people in the church may need him, and God may need him there for others. And anyway, when it came down to the end of it, I was able to ask him two things. One, would you please ask your wife how much the check is that she's supposed to write to me? And the second, would you ask your wife if she'd go, I'm not going to name the church, but ask her if she'd go this Sunday with you to so-and-so church. And he said, okay, I'll do both of those. So then when I went up Friday to pick up the check, and I'm talking with the wife and we're inside, I said, well, there's two things he's going to ask you. One was about this check, and the second, he was going to ask you if you'd go with him Sunday to so-and-so church. And he's standing right there. And she said, yeah, I'd love to go. And so I'll find out if they went today. But it's about changing things to this mentality of, it isn't just about what you think you need. It's about what others need. And I don't know who here needs something today. Who here has had a rough week. Who here, you know, sometimes it helps just to vent, just to share, just to express it. So we're going to bow our heads. You know how to start the altar music? Good. We're going to bow our heads. And look, it's just 11 o'clock. Got some time here. I want us right now with your head bowed. Just look at this as a prayer time. As a matter of fact, if you want to go ahead and you can stay where you are, you can turn around and kneel at your chair. You can find one of the other chairs to pray. It doesn't matter. But you know, our whole goal is to live a pleasing life for God. Our whole goal is to be that person that God needs and that other people needs. And you can't just commit to it. It's got to be something that takes the help of the Spirit, takes the help of God to remove yourself from being first. When you do this, it's not very easy for you to be offended anymore because you've taken your eyes off of yourself and you're putting focus on others. And we are servants and we are slaves looking to please God. And He'll bless us and prosper us, provide for us, and give us favor. He'll lift us up as He sees fit, if we'll just be faithful to love one another. Next time that you want to yell shotgun, let it be because you're trying to hold a place for someone else to be. It's for something very best in their life. So right now I want you just to spend a few minutes in prayer. Just ask God to help you to be, Lord, help me